Welcome back to the GIMP tutorial for beginners that's focusing on authors. Okay, so far we've learned how to open GIMP, how to set up a new project in GIMP, how to add the picture, how to manipulate the picture once it's added, how to scale the picture, and how to save the project. So now I'm going to walk you through how to add text, how to change the color of the text, and how to move the text so that it can be centered on the book cover or placed wherever you need it. Okay, so this is the end product. This is what we're going for. Okay, so you saved the project. Now I need you to find it and then double click and open it up. Okay, once you have the project opened in GIMP, we are ready to add the text. So the way you're going to do this is make sure that the top layer is selected, which is your picture or your photo. Select this selection. It's called the text tool. It's in the shape of a black A. And now we're going to go to the dialog box that says Open the Tool Options dialog. This has the font that we're going to use. It has the size, the color, everything that's going to end up transferring over to this text tool. So what we want to do is we want to choose the font that you'd like to begin with. I'm using the Scarlet script because it is one of the romance fonts, and so I end up defaulting most times to a romance font because that's what I write. That's the genre I write in. So my book covers have um, most of the flowing fonts that you'll see. Okay, I'm going to change the pixel size. This is a pixel, not inches, but pixels. I'm going to change it to 130. I'm not sure if it's going to be too big or too small, so we're just going to start with that. And then I'm going to change the color. Now I want the color to be something unique that kind of also is a color that's within the photo that I've chosen. So I chose the blue for part of the eyes. And here's the nifty thing about GIMP. When you have a custom color that you're using, it will show up here if you've used it once, even if it's in another totally separate project. It'll still show up here, as you can see, because I have several of my custom colors here. Um, so it's handy if you're making teasers and a book cover, so that the colors, you don't have to write this color code down to transfer the colors over to your teasers. It'll automatically show up here as long as you don't get it to here and then it scrolls away. That's how come I usually do my book cover and then the teasers all in one go, so that I have my colors here. Okay, so once you have the color, click OK. Then I'm going to click off the color to make sure that it's selected. When I click off, I ended up clicking in the size. But when I click off of it, you'll see here in this foreground and background color area that the color changed to blue. So you know it's selected. Okay, so I've got my text tool selected. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm just going to click and drag and you're going to hold down your left mouse key as you're clicking and dragging to make the text box, and then you just let it go once you're done. Now click inside the text box and then type in loving familiar, and I'm putting it on two rows. Okay, so that's how that looks when you just type it and you hit enter. But we kind of want it to be a little bit off center. So what I would do is I would come over here and I would hit the space bar in front of it, just so that it kind of gets a little bit off center here. And then what I would do is I would take the text box, and you see how when I move my mouse to the top, you'll get like a little triangle with two lines on either side. You don't want that because it does the text like that. It'll move the text box in ways that you don't want. What we want to do is we want to move the text over just a little bit so it's a little bit more centered. So go until you hover your mouse until you find the big text box to the left of the lettering, and you'll have a triangle that points to the left with the lines on either side. So when you have that, do a left click, and then just click and kind of drag it over. And then let's say that I want the text up a little bit. So then I'll find the same triangle with the two lines above, and I'll kind of shift it up just a little bit. See how the text moves up? Now I like where my loving is, the word loving, but I don't necessarily like where familiar is. So I'm going to put another, well, I don't like that either. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller and see if I can fit it in between the ears. So to do that, I highlighted my text. Don't go here where my toolbox is. Don't use that size. Instead, you're going to have to use the size at the top. So let's go down to maybe 125 and see if that does better. And if it's still not exactly the way you want, like it's not exactly the way I want, because I want it in between the ears, then maybe what I would do is I would go back to the picture and I'll move the picture down and over just a little bit, like say there. But you need to make sure that you have your picture selected. You're going to want to have the move button selected and then just kind of move it around. But you see how it brings out the familiar better. Alright, so that's the title text. Next, we're going to put the author name, which I usually put my author name at the bottom. You can do it however you want to do it. It is entirely up to you. Okay, so select the tool. You'll get the same lettering that you would have up here. However, we did make the lettering smaller. So I would recommend now going here and typing in 125, since that was the lettering that we used, and then click off of it to make sure that it stays selected. Okay, so let's click this, and then let's click down here and drag it just like you did up at the top, and then click inside it. And then just manipulate it until you have it kind of the way that you want. If it's centered, maybe you want it off center, so you'll pull it here and pull it up. If I end up putting it off center like this, I'll end up going to the end of that my first name, and I'll hit enter so that Fields is on a separate line, and then that way I can kind of make it off center more. But that's how you do the text. Now let's say that you did the text and you think, "Oh, okay, it's pretty, but it's not the color's not exactly what I want." So here's what you would do. You would click the first text box, and the way you know that this is a text box is you see a T here and you'll see loving, which is the first word in the text box. The same with your author name. You'll see the T here and Siri. Okay, so I'm gonna change loving's color. So I click the text box to select it, and then I make sure my text tool is selected. And then I click inside it, and I'll click and drag it so that I have all the text selected. Then I go here and I'll click, and maybe I want an off color. Instead of blue, let's say I want pink. So I'll choose pink, and let's say I want kind of a darker pink. Then I'm going to hit OK, and there's pink. And you can do the same thing to Siri. You just select all of it, go here, and notice how I changed the pink and now it's showing up here in the custom color area. And it's the exact same color that I have for this, for the title. So that you don't have to remember the color, you don't have to write it down, it's there for you to choose from. So then you just click OK. Now you have pink on both of them. I don't like the pink, so I'm going back to blue. Okay, so that's how you add the colors to it on the font. You add the font to the project that you're working on, whether it's a book cover or a banner or a teaser or whatever you're working on. Okay. Now we're going to save this. We're going to save this so that we can open it up for the next video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to change the color on the cat's eyes. Maybe you want them hot pink, or maybe they need to be an eerie green, or they need to be black if you're writing a horror. I'm going to go and show you how to change the color on the cat's eyes so that you can know how to do that on your projects. I'm also going to show you how to export the cover so that you can use it for your book, whether it's being uploaded in Amazon, whether it's being uploaded on your website or wherever. Okay, there's one other thing I want to add about the font. Like photos, fonts are unique, so make sure to read the license before using them. I get my fonts from Mighty Deals, and I'll place the link in the description so you can check them out. I hope this video helps, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.